An EFL guide to levels and exams. So what does it all mean? So let's have a look first at ESOL, Skills for Life. So we've got entry 1, entry 2, entry 3, level 1 and level 2. So it goes from very low level to a much higher level. And remember that ESOL are courses that are designed for people that are living in England and maybe working in England, but they're non-native. So you may have many different students in your class, a Polish student that's moved here, you may have asylum seekers or migrant workers. Sometimes you may come across problems in the ESOL classroom that students are maybe illiterate in their own language, so you might find that you have to work on literacy skills in the class. Some students will be very, very good at speaking because they're living in the country, and you may find that they're really good and they're a good level, and you may be quite surprised when they do a writing task because they may not be able to write anything at all. And this is quite commonplace in the ESOL classroom. You may have students that are excellent at speaking and can't write at all, or perhaps the other way round. And if they don't like speaking, or they're a bit quiet or worried about making mistakes, then that can have a detrimental impact on their speaking. Okay, IBT is an internet-based test. So nowadays, many tests are put on the internet just for ease for the students. ALTE are the Association of Language Testers in Europe. CPE is Cambridge Proficiency in English. So Cambridge have a whole suite of exams from low levels to high levels, and obviously proficiency, which is C2, is the highest level. And generally we would say that proficiency students are near native students. Then there's CAE, which is Cambridge Advanced English. So when they get to this level, it's really about enhancing their skills, so maybe increasing their vocabulary, or maybe looking at more complex grammar structures, or just some fine-tuning. So they have the basics of the language, they have good vocabulary, but they just need to work on some elements. FCE, so this is a very popular exam all around the world, and it's first certificate in English, and many employers will expect students, especially in countries like Spain, to have a good pass in this exam because it will show them exactly what their level is. First certificate is generally a good intermediate, upper intermediate level. And there are course books that you can follow with it. And again, with all of these Cambridge exams, if you go onto the Cambridge website, there will be descriptions of what they need to do in the exams. There will be past papers and activities that you can look at. And there's also sections for the teacher and for the student. So PET is a much lower exam, and this is Cambridge English Preliminary. And then we've got CET, which is the English Key Basic Level exam. So they're the two low levels, and then from first certificate upwards with advanced and proficiency, they're the higher level exams for Cambridge. IELTS. At some point in your TEFL career, I'm sure you'll come across a student who wants to focus on IELTS. So IELTS is the International English Language Testing System. So any student from abroad who wants to come and study at a British university will need to take an IELTS test. Generally for universities, they will need a minimum score of 6 to be able to do undergraduate study. And if they're doing some kind of master's, it will need to be between 7 and 7.5. This is on average. It will depend on universities and the calibre of the university. Some students will be allowed to come to England if they have a lower level IELTS, so perhaps 5 or 5.5, and they will be expected to take part on pre-sessional intensive courses at universities, and this will be between 6 and 12 weeks, and it will be before their university course begins, and the hope will be to get them up to the minimum of 6. Then there is TOEFL. This is more of an American exam. Similar to IELTS, test of English as a foreign language. Then there's TOEIC, and TOEIC is a business exam for international communication. So you will find that many students will need this to put on their CV, or their employers will expect them to do this on a yearly basis, just to check their level and understanding of English. And then there's BEC, and again, this is by Cambridge, and they're Cambridge English Business Certificates. So you will find there will be many students who are working who will be expected to take on these exams and pass them. Also very good for anybody preparing to do some kind of channel in business in the future. So there's some of the exams. You will find the schools that you work at may follow Cambridge exams. If you're doing one-to-one classes, then you may teach different exams. Some students may need help and focus for the advanced Cambridge. Some students may need help with IELTS, or you may not teach exams for the first few years of your career. It all depends on the school and what the students want.